Insane power, pinpoint accuracy, and one of the best body punchers in MMA, period. Bolaji Oki, the Zulu Warrior, is a name that you might not be familiar with yet. But with a murderous TKO finish in his Contender Series debut, this lightweight prospect has earned himself a spot on the UFC roster. Raised in Belgium, this young man found his way into an MMA gym as a teenager. And from there, a bond was made that would lead him to the world's biggest fight promotion. On his arms, he bears two tattoos, the spear and the shield. And as a martial artist, he understands the necessity of a strong foundation and solid defense, to go along with the vicious killer instinct when attacking. And watching his career from the beginning, the incredible progress he has made is truly astonishing. Bolaji Oki vs. Jordan Beljic. Rafael dos Anjos, Chris Cyborg, Andrei Arlovski. Just a few examples of elite championship-level fighters who came up short in their pro debut. And for the Zulu Warrior, a decision loss to Sebastian DeFranco did not foreshadow what would eventually follow. 7 months later, Oki returned to the cage looking sharper and more determined than before. And against Jordan Beljic, he turned in a confident display. The goal here was simple: get back in the win column. In that first round, it was all about Oki's physical superiority. In fact, that was the story of this fight. The takedowns were landed at will, and Beljic couldn't deal with Oki's straight right down the middle. But in the second, that's when things really took off. Oki scored several knockdowns and was easily able to throw Beljic around, demonstrating some truly raw physical power. The third round was more of the same. Oki caught kicks at will, scored takedowns with ease, and as we entered the final moments, the fight's result was more of a formality than anything else. Total dominance from Bolaji to move to 1-1 as a pro. Bolaji Oki vs. Fayad Jumois. Fight number 2 on this ongoing streak would prove to be a far more interesting affair. A competitive opening pair of rounds made it clear that Oki was in a real fight. Nothing too crazy happened, but the unbeaten Fayad Jumois was certainly proving to be a worthy matchup. But in round 3, we started to see Oki concede some takedowns. And in the final 2 minutes, he found himself on the bottom position. Now there was a chance that the scorecards could have gone his way regardless. But if you're looking for proof of this man's will to win, he fought his way out from the bottom, scrambled to his feet, and finished Jumois with a violent combo with just 40 seconds left in the fight. It wasn't always pretty, but trust us folks, these early performances showcased a fighter who was very clearly developing at a high pace. Bolaji Oki vs. Hiram Rodriguez. The measured and calculated performances of his last 2 appearances in the cage did not foreshadow what would eventually follow. Hiram Rodriguez brought a pace out of Bolaji Oki from the first second of the fight, setting the tone for what would follow. Oki had already proven his ability to fight slow, but here it took him just over a minute to capitalize on his opponent's aggression, sitting him down with a swift jab to right hook combo. From there, Rodriguez's fate was sealed by a barrage of strikes that eventually resulted in Oki taking a hold of his opponent's neck, locking in the guillotine and securing his 3rd straight win and his 2nd finish in the row.
It's a topside guillotine. It's a smart way when you've got a guy straight punch, and that's the straight punch. So right before it was a left or...
And believe us, he was only getting started. Bolaji Oki vs. Tudor Dermenji. A short-notice matchup with the tough and highly regarded 6'2" Tudor Dermenji came next. A fight that presented Bolaji with some interesting stylistic questions. Dealing with high-level wrestling had been a minor issue in some of his earlier performances. But Oki showed in the opening round that his progression was not just based on his awesome stand-up skills. Tudor made some decent takedown attempts, but Bolaji's reflexes were quick and his core was too stable. Even when Dermenji did finally score a takedown, Oki was quick to get back on his feet and started punishing him in return. His boxing looked smooth, his defense was on point, and most importantly, Bolaji was dictating the terms of this matchup. But in the second round, we saw him truly hit another level. If you're looking for the first legitimate proof that this guy was headed for the UFC, this second round was a murderous display of timing, stamina, and all-around violence. The body punching, perfectly timed flying knees, and barrage of punches secured him the win by TKO.
Information about when that type of fight is going to go down. If it is one you do not want to miss. Call this too. It can be long. Yes, you will. There we go.
Bolaji Oki had officially turned into the Zulu Warrior. If you liked the video so far, please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Bolaji Oki versus Assi Silva. Nearly a year would pass before we saw Bolaji in action again. But in dealing with the pressure of topping his amazing win last time around, it could be argued that he followed it up with an even better showcase. Facing Assi Silva, Oki barely missed a beat with this one. He kept feigning his opponent and dominating the fight from start to finish. In fact, Silva didn't even land a clean shot. The Zulu Warrior was devastatingly accurate here, and when he finally landed his signature body punch, Silva collapsed to the canvas and the ref saved him from Oki's damaging ground and pound shortly after. At 5-1 with 4 straight finishes, it seemed like Bolaji Oki was ready to step up in competition. And that step up would come a lot sooner than expected. Bolaji Oki versus Nair Melikian. Nair Melikian represented the first major test for Oki, an unbeaten 13-0 fighter and another prospect in the European scene. Both guys were 26 years old at the time of their fight, and with a promotional lightweight title on the line, this fight could really take Bolaji Oki to the next level. But Melikian was here to turn this one into a dogfight. He put insane pressure on Oki, tying him up in the clinch and landing his fair share of shots. Nair was fighting with the confidence of a man who had never lost, and it was making a difference early on. But Oki came back strong in round 2, mixing in takedowns to keep his opponent guessing. And sure enough, with the wrestling now playing on the mind of Melikian, his striking defense grew looser. Oki was landing now, and the pace of this battle was starting to wear on Melikian very clearly. The third round was close again, and you could honestly score it either way. But it was the wrestling of Oki that proved to be the definitive factor. A decision win was awarded to the Zulu Warrior, and this was definitely his toughest fight to date. Bolaji Oki versus Josimar Ferreira. The next fight was a lot more straightforward. Oki's reputation as one of the finest body attackers in the sport was really brought to light by his performance against Josimar Ferreira. Early on, these two lightweights were engaged in a feigning game that Oki was clearly getting the better of. But when he landed that first hammer blow to the midsection, you could just see Ferreira's entire demeanor change. He was shooting for a takedown within seconds, which Bolaji countered easily, providing him with the perfect opening to land a devastating knee to his midsection. Ferreira hit the deck like he had been electrocuted, and thankfully the ref jumped in to save him from any more punishment. Another body shot TKO win for the Zulu Warrior. Bolaji Oki versus Dylan Salvador. At last, the young fighter's unstoppable momentum became too powerful to ignore, securing his spot on Dana White's Contender Series next. The perfect proving ground for a prospect of his caliber. And he didn't waste any time getting to work. With Dylan Salvador, a former two-weight WAKO world champion, as his opponent, Oki stepped up and put together a violent combo in the second minute of the first round, causing his opponent to shell up while he attacked on all fronts, mixing knees and punches with his stellar bodywork. And when that liver punch landed, Salvador, like many others, crumbled there and then, undeniably securing him a contract with the UFC.
Start to week 4. Body shot.
28 years of age, with an 8-fight win streak under his belt, the Zulu warrior Bolaji Oki will enter the UFC's lightweight division in a weight class that features some of the biggest names in the entire sport. And while he won't get a huge matchup straight away, there is already some decent hype bubbling under the surface for this Belgian prospect. But what do you think of this highly regarded rising star from the European scene? Do let us know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single upload.